Good day, my basic economics students. As per request, this will be a simple discussion regarding how to solve the demand and the supply functions. Now, there are some difficulties when it comes to solving it from hearing from the students. But in this one, I will just simply discuss in here, or let's just make a simple way of how do we actually solve the simple demand function and the simple supply function using just a simple linear functions, because sooner or later if we are going to uh, go forward to when it comes to our discussion, we will encounter the higher mathematical use and in terms of solving, such as the statistics and what you call this one, the use of your calculus. Okay, so let's proceed on how to solve the function itself. Now remember that there is a difference between the demand and the supply itself. So, but in terms of solving for the function itself, there will always be the same process. What will make them different is that in terms of the demand, there is always a negative relationship. So therefore, we will have a negative functions, while on the other side, on the supply one, since there is a positive relationship, you will always have a positive functions itself. Okay, now we have what we call the function as quantity demand A plus B and P. Okay, now with that function, on your notes, you will always say that I always indicate in there that you always have to solve for two, okay? Two important factors, and then you're going to substitute that on the function itself, and you will have the demand function. But there is a problem when it comes to how to solve for this one. First and foremost, you always have to solve for the B first. Ito ang pinakauna na dapat nating isolve bago ang A. The B here indicates the slope of the function, while the A here indicates what we call the autonomous value. Ang autonomous value, ibig sabihin, ito yung pinakamataas na pwede nating kunin. Or in mathematical terms, ito yung tinatawag nating y-intercept. Okay? Y-intercept in the sense na ito yung amount na value ng isang function pag nasa zero axis yung kanyang uh, isang variables. Okay? So how do you going to solve for the B functions, or what we call the slope of the line? The B here, it was also indicated on your notes that it is the change in the quantity divided by the change in your price. Right? Now, when we are referring to the change itself, we must have two variables again. So, okay, for the two variables na yon, kailangan nandun yon sa ating given functions. Okay? So, for example, we have a given of price 1, which is 1, and then the price 2, which is 5. Okay? With the quantity 1, which is considered to be 10, and then the quantity 2 is considered to be 2. There. Okay? So, with those given in here, how are we going to solve for the slope of the line? Diba? Yung slope, kailangan dalawa yung variables niyan. So, kailangan ang change in quantity, you look at the quantity. We have the quantity here. At saka meron din po siyang tatak na quantity 1 and quantity 2. But for example, if there is no quantity 1 and quantity 2 that is indicated in there, pwede nyo silang bigyan ng values, or tatakan nyo siya na ito yung quantity 1, ito yung quantity 2, or pwedeng pagbaliktarin ninyo. But take note, kahit na baliktarin nyo yung dalawang to, kailangan din baliktarin nyo yung pares niya. Hindi kasi pwede na si price 1 ay maging 5, si price 2 ay maging 5, tapos itong quantity 1 na ito na dapat pares ng 1 inilagay nyo kay 5, at itong quantity 2 na pares ng price 5 ay inilagay nyo kay 1, ay hindi po pwede yon. Because on the given, they are already considered a pair. So kahit baliktarin nyo yung dalawa, kailangan pati yung pares niya baliktarin natin. Okay, so for the changes in the quantity, we have here 2 minus 10. And for the changes in the price, we have 2 here. So, dapat ang pares niya is 5. And for the 10 here, it is 1. So, therefore, we have what we call negative 8 divided by positive 4. And that will give you a negative 2. Okay, so that is for the slope of the function. Once you have the slope of the function, immediately substitute it to your quantity demand function. So, pag sinubstitute natin siya doon, it will give you what we call A plus negative 2P. Sooner, the positive and the negative will now becoming A minus 2P. So, that is your function. But a function cannot be derived or cannot be determined if there is only one given and the rest of the functions are most probably unknown, because that will be indefinite or undetermined. I'm supposed to say not indefinite, undetermined. So, kailangan you have to find another, or what do you call this one, you have to find the other variables. It's either the quantity, the price, or this one. But in here, since we are just finding for the function, hinahanap natin ang function na quantity, we will always leave the quantity and the price to be blank as is. At hinahanap natin yung dalawang variable sa loob. Kasi hinahanap natin, kasi hinahanap natin kung ano ang effect ng price kay quantity at kung ano ang effect ni quantity kay price itself. Yun po yung nasa function natin. Kaya, kailangan nating alamin kung ano ang A. Ang A na yan, it will be already simple once you have solved for the B. Kasi substitution na yan. Pero saan manggagaling ang mga values na ilalagay natin dito sa A? Andito po sa given. Ito yung given natin. So, pwede nating ilagay dito sa functions itself. Diba? Sabi dito, my quantity demand is A minus 2P. So, in that case, saan yung quantity, saan yung price, pwede natin pong kunin dito sa mga given. Okay? So, kung anumang values ang pwede ang kunin natin sa dalawang given na to, dalawang pares ng given, kailangan magpares din po ang ilagay natin. So, for example, dito, we are going to derive for the function of A. So, therefore, quantity is equivalent to A minus 2P. Okay? So, we find a value of Q. Pwede natin kunin dito. Pwedeng 10, pwedeng 2. So, let's proceed for the 10. Leave the A blank. Minus the 2. Ano ang value ng P? Siyempre, yung pares ng 10, which is considered to be 1. And the process will go on. So, in that case, you will find that A will be 12. A is equivalent to 12. Okay? Paano naging 12 yan? 2 times 1 is negative 2. As usual, you have to group those the same values. So, i-transpose natin itong negative 2 on the other side. The negative 2, once it is transposed to the other side, it will become positive. So, 10 plus 2, it will become 12. So, you have already the function, or we have already the value of the A, which is 12. Once you have the value of A and once you have the value of B, you can now substitute it and have your demand function, which is considered to be 12 minus 2P. Ganyan po ang pag-solve. Okay? So, that's how to solve for your demand functions. How about the supply? Now, in solving the supply, it is the same. It is also indicated on your notes that quantity supply is equivalent to C plus DP. Ay, monkey, sorry. Okay, so the same thing with the demand function. The demand function is A plus BP. So what is the first thing that we did solve? Is the slope of the line. Ganun din po dito sa ating quantity supply. Ang unang isosolve natin is the slope of the function. Ang slope of the function is the D. How about the autonomous value? When it terms to the demand, we have the A value. Sa supply function, we have the C value. Is it possible na gamitin natin ang A plus BP sa supply function? Pwede. Dito lang po, para ini-indicate natin ang differences ng dalawa, kaya we made the C and the D here. Okay, so first thing is we always have to solve for the D. Secondly is the C, and then we substitute it na kung ano man ang ginawa natin sa demand. Pero dito, makikita natin that there is a positive function because of the positive relationship. If you will go back to the first notes that you have, the slope of the supply function is always positive because of the relationship between the price and the quantity. Ano yung relationship na tinutukoy noon? Pag ikaw ay isang seller, pag ikaw ay isang producer, you always target a high price. A high price will lead you to a higher amount to sell or a higher amount to produce. Hindi kagaya ng mga consumers, pag sa consumers, yung slope ng function kasi is negative. As a consumer kasi, we do not want a high price. Pag mababa yung presyo, that is the time that we're going to buy more. Pag mataas ang presyo, we have to control the amount of the goods that we're going to buy. Kaya negative value ang ating slope. Yun po ang differences ng dalawa. So let's have an example easier in here. So we have a price which is 5, and another price is we have 10. Quantity is we have 50. And then another quantity is we have 70. Okay, there. Now, in our second example, we notice here that I did not put if that would be a price 1, price 2, quantity 1, and quantity 2. Now, it is within you kung saan nyo ilalagay yung price 1 ninyo at saka yung price 2 ninyo. Okay, kasi sabi ko nga on this first demand discussion, you could actually interchange them but do not interchange the pair. Okay, so again, the first thing that you're going to solve is for the D function, as it is indicated on the D, or the slope of the function. It is the change in the quantity all over the change in the price. Okay, again, the change here indicate there must be a 2 variables in there. Okay, if you're going to put it on a mathematical expression, we always have to clear the x and the y. Okay, there must be an x and a y, or there must always be a 2 concepts or 2 variables. So, kailangan dalawa yan. So, for the change in the quantity, we can choose between which one is the quantity 1 and which one is the quantity 2. So, let's say 50 is our quantity 2 and 70 is our quantity 1. Okay, as for the price, 50 we have 5. The price of 70 is we have 10. There, so we will have here what we call there 50 less 70 will become negative 20, and 5 less 10 is negative 5. So we have a slope which is the negative 20 divided by the negative 5 will give you a positive 4. So that is the slope of the function. Once you have the slope of the function, substitute it immediately to your equation. And that will give you C plus 4P. Okay, the next thing that you're going to solve is the autonomous value. Again, for the autonomous value, that is easy because that is substitution. Where are you going to get the values or amount na ilalagay natin sa equation? It is from the given itself. So, you may choose anything from the given. So, let's say we have here the 70 as your quantity supply. C will remain unknown. Just copy the formula. Sorry. So that is 4. How much is the price of 70? Dahil it is 10. Right? There. From that one is we have already 70 is equivalent to C plus 40. Again, transposing the value, so we have already a C here, which is equivalent to 30. Bakit siya naging 30? If you transpose this 40 to the other side of the formula, that is 70 minus 40, so therefore we have the C, which is 30. So by completing already the equation, we have a quantity supply, which is equivalent to 30 plus 4P. So that is your supply function. Got it? So, ganun po yung mag-solve. So, when it comes to solving on your own exercises, be careful. Tsaka huwag na huwag niyong palitan yung, pagpalit-palitin yung mga values. And take note of the sign, the negative sign and then the positive sign in terms of the demand functions at tsaka supply functions. Okay? Now, other than solving on your activities also, there is also a question there indicating or asking you to interpret the values or what you had solved. In mathematics, they never interpret the values of 1, kung anong ibig sabihin ng 1, kung anong ibig sabihin ng 0. But in terms of the business implications, at saka in terms of economics, there is always a meaning. Ano ang ibig sabihin ng 5, ano ang ibig sabihin ng 50, lahat po ng mga values na yan ay may ibig sabihin. Specifically, if you will go back to the function itself, or the equation, such as this one, the D here and the C here has always a meaning. And the meaning of this C and the D, or yung tinatawag natin ang meaning ng autonomous or ang meaning ng slope, will always affect the price and the quantity, or it will always affect the independent variable or the dependent variable in terms of mathematics. So let's see how to interpret the function itself. This is how to interpret the functions. The first thing that we have to interpret is the B or the D, or yung tinatawag nating slope. The slope always has a meaning itself. Okay? The slope is the changes that happens in the equation itself. So for the demand function, the B here, if the B has a value of -2, what does that mean? Okay? Since in the demand function, we are dealing with what we call the price. Okay? We are comparing price and quantity demand. So, ibig sabihin, pag tayo ay nag-i-interpret, we always compare the price and the quantity demand. Since we have a slope of a -2, that means may negative relationship ang price at saka quantity. So, ang slope of the function, if you're going to interpret this is, ibig sabihin, since if the price will change to 1 peso, then quantity demand will always decrease by 2 units. Bakit decrease yan? Kasi po negative. A negative will always decrease. So, pag inilagay natin to sa specific interpretation, ilagay kunwari sabihin natin, pag ang presyo tumataas ng tig-piso, yung quantity demand natin bumababa ng tig-2. Okay? Pero pag ang presyo ay bumababa ng tig-piso, then ang quantity natin ay tumataas naman ng tig-2. Okay? So that is how you interpret. Always be a inverse relationship. If the price is increasing, quantity is decreasing. If the price is decreasing, quantity is increasing. Bakit 1? Why is it supposed to be 1? Saan natin nakuha yung 1? Now, from the final value of the B slope, the amount is 2. Automatically, yung denominator niyan is 1. So therefore, if you're going to interpret that, the price on the denominator is 1, and then the quantity on the numerator is always the quantity. So therefore, if you're going to interpret that, 1 here is referring to the price. So that means as price changes by 1 peso, the quantity also decreases or changes by 2. That's how you're going to interpret it. Okay? Now, if we have, for example, a B value, which is equivalent to, let's say, 10, 4. Okay? So if we have a B value as that one, you could interpret that as the price changes by 4 pesos, then quantity is decreasing by 10 units, as indicated on this one. If you're going to simplify that, the simplification of that is that since it is divisible by 2, then it will become 5 all over 2. So that means if the price changes by 2, then the quantity will also change by 5. Or pwede din po nating ilagay ito sa absolute value. At pwede nating sabihin na as price changes by 1, quantity is changing by 5 all over 2. Got it? That's how you interpret the functions. Same is true if we have a D value or the slope of the supply function, which is a positive 1. We have 4. Diba? So, in that, we are still comparing what we call the price and your quantity supply. Now, remember, there is a positive relationship of the two. So, if you're going to interpret that, if the price is changing by 1 peso, quantity supply is also changing by 4 units. What is the change in the quantity? It is a positive. That means if the price is increasing by 1 peso, quantity is increasing by 4 units. If the price is decreasing by 1 peso, quantity supply is decreasing by 4 units. So that is the relationship between the price and the quantity supply. Okay? So, ganun po ang interpretation. Huwag niyong kalilimutan yung interpretation natin when it comes to this one. Can we interpret the supply function such as the quantity, which is the 12 plus 4 P, mga ganyan. Can we interpret that? Yes, but ang interpretation mo is only coming from this point. Okay, you will always say that as the price changes by 4, then quantity also changes by what do you call this one? Sorry. As the price changes by 1, the quantity supply changes by 4. Okay? So that's how you always interpret the functions itself. Got it? So that's how the interpretation it is. Next is, let's proceed to some examples. Examples will be just an what do you call this one? Just give you a way how to how to solve in a simple way. Let's put many variables as we could. Let's say we have price and the quantity, supply, and quantity demand. So we have a price of 2, 4, 6, and 8. Just 4 values. Okay, for the quantity supply, remember, as the price increasing, the quantity is also increasing. So therefore, we have what we call here 10, 20, 30, 40. Okay, on the quantity demand is we have also what we call this one, a negative relationship. So therefore, it will be the opposite. So as at a lower price, the quantity is higher. So we have here say 50. We have here 42. We have here 34. And we have here 26. Okay. So those are examples. So with the given example, first is let's solve for the demand function. Again, if you will go to the demand function, always write your base formula. Do not forget to write your base formula because your base formula will always guide you when it comes to solving. Kahit napakagaling mong mag-solve, huwag mong kalimutan ang iyong function. Yan. So, always write your equation. What is the first thing that we always have to do? Solve for the B value. Again, always write your base formula. Change in quantity all over the change in the price. Always write your base formula. Do not forget. Okay? So, with this one, since we have 4 variables on your given example, you may choose among them. Again, if you are choosing, okay lang na kahit ano ang piliin, but do not interchange the values. Okay? So, let's choose, let's say, for example, the last and the first. We have here 26 less 50 divided by, what is the price of 26? It is 8. And then the price of 50, it is 2. There. So in that case, 26 less 50 is equivalent to 24. Negative 24 less positive 6. So therefore, negative 24 divided by positive 6 will give you a negative 4. Okay? Interpret the value of the slope, negative 4. That means as the price of the quantity demand increases by 1 peso, quantity demand decreases by 4 units. Okay, that is the interpretation. Once you have the B value, what is the next thing? Solve for the A by immediately substituting it. Okay, so we have here A minus 4P. Quantity demand is, you may choose again, kahit anong quantity ang kunin natin dito, basta huwag pagpalitin yung pares ulit. So we have here, let's say 42. A minus 4. What is the price of 42? That is 4. So that means 42, that is A minus 16. Then transpose to the other side. That is 42 plus 16 is equivalent to A. So that will give you a 58 is the value of your A. So we have already a demand function which is considered to be 58 minus 4P. There. Okay? So we have already the demand function. So again, ano yung value? Ano yung 58? Yan yung pinakamataas na amount na pwedeng bilhin ng isang consumer pag ang presyo ng product ay 0. Kaya nga, it is considered to be the autonomous value, or in other words, it is the maximum amount that you could buy. Okay? There. So, that's how to solve for your demand function. Now, in solving for the supply function, is you could also do the same. First is you always have to solve for the B. Next is the A. And then you will have your supply function. So, dapat, pag lumabas ang supply function nyo dyan, that is considered to be the quantity. Pag isosolve ninyo, check nyo kung makukuha nyo yung amount na ito. The quantity supply, by looking at your table, I suppose the slope is considered to be 5. Okay? Yeah. So, your autonomous value is considered to be 0. If you're going to solve, you must arrive at this value. Okay? Pag hindi kayo naka-arrive dyan, ibig sabihin, hindi nyo pa rin nakuha kung paano isolve yun. So, dapat just follow the step and always write your base formula. Okay? Did you get it? Okay, ganyan. Okay, so do not forget, if you did not arrive at this one, that means you did not yet follow. So, you always have to follow the step. Okay, do not forget. And always remember to interpret. The 5 here again refers to as the price changes by 1 peso, quantity supply changes by 5. Now, by specifically pertaining to the relationship, as the price increases by 1 peso, quantity supply increases by 5 units. Okay, so that's how you're going to interpret them. Okay, and how much is the value or the amount that a supplier could sell if the price of the product is 0? Then it is also 0. Ito ang 0 to, ito ang pinaka mababa na kaya nilang i-produce pag ang presyo ng produkto ay 0. Okay, so that is another differences in terms of the demand, the supply. Etong A sa ating demand function, kumbaga itong 58, ito ang pinakamataas na pwede nating bilhin as a consumer. Pero pag ikaw ay producer, ang autonomous value nila, ang ibig sabihin nun is yung pinakamababang value or amount na pwede nilang i-produce pag ang presyo ay 0. Ganon po siya. Okay? Yan. So, do we have any further questions? If you have, then please give me a message on our own forum or on the message chat box on our Moodle account. Okay, so that is all I think for the demand and supply function. For the rest, then we will have another examples on them sooner. Thank you, and please, I will discuss sooner or later regarding other kinds of the functions, such as the elasticity up to the equilibrium point. Thank you, and I'll be looking forward for your own questions on our chat box. Thank you, and good day.